somehow a Cthulhu cult was involved in the war of the Falkland Islands. So like British special forces are going in to go figure out what happened to one of their squads, and they go in and they find out exactly what happened to them. Like in graphic detail on the walls of the cave, kind of like that's not the way Lovecraft would have. But my favorite adaptations are really the like artsy radio dramas. They rock. Lovecraft, they do a very good job of that. But I think my favorites are really the people that are, because of copyright, because it's because it's open, are the people that are really doing a great job reading the audiobooks. Like they really get it. The production values are good.
Horror Babble.
Pardon?
Horror Babble.
Horror, exactly. They were just like, oh, by the way, just as a treat to you guys, we're going to do Call of Cthulhu again. And it was gorgeous. I mean, it was perfect. The Audible version is terrible, but that's not true. Whatever. But I think my favorite, in the sense of like the one that I hold closest to my heart, is Cast a Deadly Spell from 1989 or 90 or whatever it was. Fred Ward played a PI.
Named H.P.
Lovecraft. It's been 30 years, guys. We're outside of the spoilers. It's hard to find, but if you can find it,
actually, it is streaming on Max.
It is. Excellent. Good.
I just watched that this weekend, thanks to your recommendation.
Excellent.
How'd you like it?
I cannot tell you how many people over the years have tracked me down and gone, where do I watch this movie that you talked about? Can't find.
Now I'm going to find the sequel.
Anyway, the point of this is Fred Ward plays the PI who doesn't do magic in a world where everyone does magic. Great subversion. David Warner plays the creepy father, right?
Brown.
Oh yeah, Clancy Brown's in it. There's a joke with a unicorn, which is awesome, and Cthulhu actually shows up at the end. Cthulhu makes an appearance.
It's a wonderful movie.
It's a great fun movie. Yeah, and it's one of those movies where it doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows exactly what it is. It knows who its audience is, and it's a great twist ending. Which I won't spoil that.
Yeah, my favorite Lovecraft story is probably In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Sam Neill.
Yes.
Yeah.
That very much is on the HP vibe without being HP.
Madness, Insane Asylum.
I remember I was watching it with friends after it when it came out on Laserdisc, and at the opening credits, and it's the printing of the book, and I looked at my other friend and went, "Oh, this is Lovecraft. It's done already. These people are dead before the credits have even finished. The book's being published."
Yeah. One of my favorite obscure Lovecraft monsters. I think Gary was there when this happened. Somebody asked, "What's your favorite weird ending to a Lovecraft story?" And I got so excited. I was talking about this thing, and somebody on the panel went, "That was Robert E. Howard?" And I was like, "Oh." There's this one of the problems with talking about Lovecraft's monsters is
he wasn't the only writer.
Not only that, but there's several monsters that all you get is a footprint or a claw mark or a dead body or something. And so one of my favorite endings is the one where the professor's face has a hoof print. That's it. Good luck figuring out what the heck just happened, right? There's a broken window and a hoof print. And and I was just like, I'm not going to get any sleep tonight. It was just...
What time do we end?
8:35 now. Yeah.
Okay, so we've got time. At 9 o'clock. So I was worried.
We still have time for the moist ones.
I was trying to say, do we want to hit any damp ones?
Yeah.
But
so of course, probably what a lot of people think of are the fishmen, the deep ones, and then the leader of the deep ones, or ruler, or whatever you call them, Dagon, which is also a really good movie as far as they go in real Lovecraft. Stuart Gordon again, right? No.
Yeah. What kills me is they were originally going to do a version of Dagon about 10 years before that one came out, and they got Bernie Wrightson to do the concept art for all the people in Innsmouth. And if you look up Bernie Wrightson's art, you can see like all the different designs, and it's like, oh man, there's no way they could have built that practically, but that would have been cool.
Yeah. The fishmen are like Creature from the Black Lagoon is I found it as a fishman, and there's a card game called Smash Up that has an expansion pack called the Obligatory Cthulhu Expansion Pack, which is awesome. And one of the factions is the Fishman of Innsmouth. And what you do is in this deck, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail here, but trust me that it is hysterical that it's like every single card is just a fishman. And the fishmen summon other fishmen. That's how you, so it's a swarm deck. So you just go fishman, who summons a fisherman, who summons a fisherman. You know, it's
beginning to look a lot
like fishmen.
I'm not the only one that does that.
There we go. That's my favorite
The
adaptation of
Historical
that story.
Society, has several winter solstice albums.
Yes.
Solstice Carol albums.
Yeah.
But if you've ever seen, like the old man from Creature of the Black Lagoon, the guy from The Shape of Water, think any type of. But it's also like people that have face like an anglerfish, or there's one guy who just looks normal except for the gill slits on his neck.
Right.
And, then there's just
Are you saying that Kevin Costner played a fisherman?
yes.
He did, yeah.
Technically, yes.
Waterworld.
No, we don't name the movie.
Oh, we don't.
We don't name the movie.
You couldn't understand that word I just said because it's
No, it doesn't.
the
It's in Cthulhian.
Yeah.
But no, there's a lot of mutants that have gills.
Yeah.
And
Because
if that isn't Innsmouth,
yeah. Because as much as I enjoy the works of Lovecraft, this is where we come into the screaming racism. All the Fishmen is fear of intermingling races and bloodlines, and it's all these weird, degenerate creatures from the ocean coming out and breeding with our nice women and making fish creature hybrids.
the descriptions of, like, Lovecraft's writing is really brilliant. He knows how to build tension and how to drop hints. The guy that drives the bus to Innsmouth, kind of his face is like a little off, and then the guy at the inn, his face is a little bit more off, and then the further you get into the story, the more they look like fish and less like people, which is it's really well done. The video game, the first-person shooter, although there's no shooting, that is an interpretation of Shadow over Innsmouth, is really amazing. It does a great job of interpreting the story and turning that story into a video game. There is a lot of, like, there just happens to be a 2x4 that you can walk across to get to the other building. It's a video game. But also, I think my favorite part of that interpretation of Innsmouth is there's like 2 medical packs in the entire game. If you get injured, you might as well just go back to your save point. Forget it. There is no I will eat this herb and magically I'm healthy again. You are, as soon as you are injured, you are done. It just is a matter of time. And that is very Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a good transition into one of the things I wanted to talk about on this panel. So you see that a lot in Lovecraft stories, but humans degenerating and kind of devolving into, and it could just be more bulbous eyes or the gills or clammy skin and that kind of thing as they start transforming and so forth. Well, a lot of people don't think about it, but Lovecraft's avatar, if you will, in his own writing, Randolph Carter, the author and dreamer, right? Well, I'll submit that he's one of my favorite monsters, actually, besides Cthulhu, in Lovecraft's writings, because in his final story, Through the Gate of the Silver Key, and spoiler alert, you get to the very end, and the whole story, if you haven't read it, there's this will reading and divvying up the inheritance and so forth of Randolph Carter's estate and so forth, and they're flabbergasted. His friends and family are like flabbergasted that they left this all to this Swami Sharaputra guy. Never heard of him and so forth. And then you get to the very end and you realize, no, that's Randolph Carter, and he's basically covered himself in a turban and face covering and everything because he's transformed from being in the dreamlands for so long. Which I've always wondered. I wish I could ask, H.P. Lovecraft, if I could ask him that. Is that, what is he saying to us about himself at the end of his journey? Is it growth from being out there? Because he himself never really went out. He was reclusive and didn't go out and see these places, a lot of which he hated, or hated where the people came from. He didn't go out and see that. It might have been a very different...
Bit of a xenophobe.
Yeah. So I always thought, we don't really, a lot of people haven't read that story, and so
Mhm.
not a whole lot of real great descriptions of that, but it's to me interesting that he himself kind of turned into a monster.
Yeah, because it starts out, because isn't Statement the first Randolph Carter story?
Mhm.
It would have to be. Anybody not familiar with Statement of Randolph Carter? It is the most, okay, all right, we got one. It's honesty works here. The Statement of Randolph Carter, those of you who are familiar will get this. I've always wanted to stage that as a one-person, one-act. And just basically, it's not that complicated. Is you get a very uncomfortable looking chair and a very bright spotlight and a person who can just go through the whole, it's like 4 pages. It's only like 1,000, 1,200 words. It's a very short story, but essentially, and most of you will remember this, is he's being interrogated by the police because there's a buddy of his is missing. And the entire story is his answer to the interrogation by the police. And it has absolutely one of the best last lines of dialogue in any story ever. It's fabulous. And then Kyle is making me connect that story to all of these other Randolph Carter stories. I'm going, wait a minute, hold on. So if that's the first story, and if it really is a self-insertion in a good way, then the way I see that story is that is the moment where Lovecraft is going, I have done this thing, what am I doing? Where is this going? What is going on with me? I'm a sci-fi author, and there's been moments where I've written something and gone, oh, where did that come from? And I wonder if that's the arc. Like when you said he was one of the monsters on your list, I was like, Burr?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And again, I wish I could ask him, because a shred of hope for me that he actually has grown, and it's not just the opposite, and he feels like I've become this thing that I don't want to be, and I want to get back to the old, that's the traditional Lovecraft that we know and love. So we got about 15 minutes left. Anybody else in the audience that your Cthulhian monsters or not?
There's a lot left.
Lovecraft